I hired her for harvest help. Never knew she'd plant herself in my soul. The first rooster's crow sliced through the pre-dawn hush like a rusty knife, but it was her voice that yanked me from sleep, low, husky, calling my name from the porch below. Clara? You up yet? Fields won't wait. I bolted upright in my creaky brass bed, heart slamming against my ribs, sheets tangled like the mess in my chest. 38 years on this Kansas dirt farm, and nothing had ever rattled me like Elena Vargas did in those first chaotic days of harvest. I'd hired her on a whim, a desperate ad in the county paper. Strong hands needed. No experience required. Room and board. She showed up with nothing but a duffel bag and eyes that held storms I didn't know I was missing. But that morning as I stumbled to the window, peering through frost-laced glass at her silhouette against the fading stars, I felt the first crack in my armored world. She wasn't just help. She was the drought breaker. The wild seed that would upend everything I'd buried deep under layers of soil and solitude. I pulled on my boots, the leather cracked from years of grudging obedience to this land that had swallowed my parents whole. The air bit sharp as I stepped out, carrying the faint tang of last night's rain-soaked earth and the bitter edge of my cooling coffee from the mug I'd forgotten on the rail. Elena turned, her breath clouding in the chill, and grinned, that crooked flash of white against her olive skin, inherited from Mexican roots tangled with some forgotten Irish ancestor. She told me once over lukewarm beer. Morning, boss. Sky's turning pink. Ready to wrestle these stalks. Her voice wrapped around me like warm twine, pulling tight. I nodded, throat dry, avoiding those hazel eyes that seemed to see right through the flannel I hid behind. We'd only been at it a week, but already the rhythm felt too easy, too intimate. Her laugh echoing over the tractor's rumble, the brush of her arm as we loaded bales, the way she'd hum old ranchero tunes under her breath while I pretended not to listen. By noon the sun clawed high, baking the fields into a golden haze that shimmered like a fever dream. Sweat glued my shirt to my back, and the air hummed with cicadas' relentless drone, a soundtrack to our silent battle against the combine's greedy maw. Elena drove the old John Deere like she'd been born to it, her dark hair whipping free from its ponytail, strands sticking to her neck in salty curls. I followed on foot, scouting strays, my pitchfork heavy in hands that ached from Dawn's grip. That's when it happened, the snag. A belt slipped on the harvester, metal screeching like a wounded animal, and the machine lurched to a halt in a cloud of dust and chaff. Damn it! I muttered, wiping grit from my eyes, the taste of dry earth coating my tongue. She was off the seat before I could blink, vaulting down with that effortless grace that made my stomach twist. Let me see. Her fingers brushed mine as she took the wrench, close enough I could smell her. Sweat and citrus soap, mingled with the faint spice of whatever she'd cooked last night. Chorizo and onions that still lingered in the kitchen like a promise. We knelt together in the shadow of the beast, her shoulder pressing against mine, steady and warm. The world narrowed to that point of contact, the clink of tools, her quiet curses in Spanish that sounded like poetry. There, she said finally, tightening the last bolt, her face inches from mine, flushed and alive. Our gazes collided and time stuttered. In that endless second I saw it. The hunger mirroring my own, raw and uncharted, blooming like weeds in cracked clay. I jerked back first, scrambling to my feet, heart pounding like harvest thunder. Thanks, I rasped, turning away to hide the heat crawling up my neck. She'd been married once, she said, brief, to a guy in Denver who couldn't handle the wanderlust in her veins. Divorced 5 years now, drifting from ranch to ranch, chasing the pull of open sky. Me? I'd never let anyone close enough to leave scars. After Mom's slow fade from cancer and Dad's heart giving out behind the wheel of this very tractor, the farm became my fortress. No room for softness, no space for the ache I'd felt since college, watching girls in the dorms laugh and link arms while I buried myself in AG textbooks. But Elena, she didn't fit in the margins. She spilled over, colorful and unapologetic, with her stories of border town fiestas and the way she'd sneak tamales to the coyotes howling at midnight. We finished the row in silence, the only sounds the rustle of corn surrendering to the blades and the occasional grunt as we hefted loads. Lunch was hasty, sandwiches on the tailgate of my pickup, the metal hot under our thighs, her knee bumping mine accidentally on purpose. You ever think about selling this place? She asked, biting into ham and cheese, crumbs dusting her chin. I stared at the horizon, where thunderheads gathered like uninvited guests. Every damn day. But it's all I got left of them. She nodded slow, her eyes tracing the lines etched around my mouth from too many windswept winters. Roots run deep, huh? Like these fields. Pull 'em up and you bleed. Her words hung there, heavy as the humidity building, and I wondered if she meant the land or something more fragile. That night, the storm hit hard, rain lashing the tin roof like accusations, wind howling through the eaves. I lay awake in the guest room I'd given her, my old one with the quilt Mom stitched from feed sacks, listening to the creaks and groans of the house settling under the onslaught. Thunder rolled, close enough to rattle the windows, and lightning painted her doorway in stark white flashes. Then a soft knock. Clara. Her voice was small, edged with something I couldn't place. I sat up, pulse quickening. Come in. She slipped inside, wrapped in a threadbare robe, hair tousled from restless sleep, the scent of rain in her skin filling the room. Storms always get to me. Mind if I? She gestured vaguely, and I scooted over without a word, the mattress dipping under her weight. We didn't touch at first, just lay there in the dark, the storm our alibi. But as the minutes stretched, her hand found mine under the covers, fingers lacing tentative like testing new soil. My breath hitched, a sigh escaping despite myself, the sound swallowed by another boom outside. Tell me something real, she whispered, her thumb tracing circles on my knuckles, sending sparks up my arm. I swallowed hard, the words tumbling out unbidden. I hired you because I was lonely. Not for the help. For the company. Silence, thick and electric. Then her turn toward me, warm breath on my cheek. I answered because your ad sounded like a cry. And Clara. I heard it. Our lips met in the next flash of light, soft at first, exploratory, tasting of salt and storm and the forbidden sweetness I denied for years. Her hand cupped my face, calluses rough against my jaw, and I melted into it, a low moan vibrating in my throat as her body pressed close, curves fitting like she'd been carved from the same earth. The kiss deepened, urgent now, tongues dancing in a rhythm as old as the plains, her sighs mingling with the rain's relentless patter. We broke apart gasping, foreheads touching, the air between us charged like the sky outside. This. Us? I murmured, fear clawing at the edges of joy. It's gonna uproot everything. She smiled in the dark, fierce and sure. Good. Let it grow wild. Dawn crept in gray and sodden, the fields a muddy promise of renewal. We rose tangled in sheets that smelled of us, her head on my shoulder, my fingers idly combing through her hair. Breakfast was eggs scrambled hasty on the stove, the sizzle punctuating our quiet laughter, her foot hooking mine under the table. But as we stepped out to assess the damage, branches down, furrows flooded, the real storm brewed on the horizon. Old man Hargrove from the next spread over pulled up in his rusted Ford, face like thunder under his battered hat. Heard you got help this year, Clara. That drifter type. His eyes raked over Elena, who stood wiping mud from her boots, chin lifted defiant. I stepped forward, arm brushing hers in silent solidarity. She's family now, Roy. More than you ever were. He spat tobacco juice into the dirt, the wet smack echoing ugly. Family, huh? Town's talkin'. Your folks wouldn't abide this. This unnatural carry-in on. The word landed like a slap, stirring dust devils of memory, whispers in church pews after Dad's funeral, the way folks crossed the street when I walked alone. Elena's hand found my back, steadying, but I felt her tense, the coil of old wounds tightening. Get off my land, I said, voice low and lethal, the kind that brooks no harvest argument. He revved the engine, gravel spitting like curses, but as he peeled away, I knew it was just the first gust. The town, small-minded as the county line, didn't forget. And neither did the bank, circling like vultures over my mounting debts, the crop yields dipping from years of solo strain. The days blurred into a fever of work and stolen moments, her lips on mine behind the barn, tasting of apple cider and urgency, the press of her against me in the hayloft, hay pricking our skin as we whispered futures neither dared voice. But the whispers spread, insidious as blight. At the co-op feed store, Mrs. Ellis turned away, her cluck of disapproval louder than the cash register's ding. Shame on you, Clara Jennings. What would your mother say? I gripped the bag of seed corn tighter, knuckles whitening, the burlap rough against my palms. Elena waited in the truck, radio humming low with Patsy Cline's ache, but when I slid in, her eyes searched mine worried. They'll come around, she said, but her voice wavered, the lie thin as morning mist. Harvest peaked under a relentless sun, the air thick with dust and the sweet rot of overripe ears. We pushed hard, bodies aching in harmony, her laugh cutting through the exhaustion like sunlight through clouds. One evening, as the combine's engine cooled with a final sigh, we collapsed on the porch swing, beers sweating in our hands, the creak of chains our only accompaniment. Fireflies winked lazy in the twilight, and she leaned into me, head on my shoulder, the weight perfect. Remember that ad? Strong hands needed. She traced the veins on my forearm, her touch igniting slow fire. You got more than that. I turned, kissing her temple, inhaling the sun-warmed scent of her hair, earth and wildflowers. You planted yourself deeper than I ever imagined. But the axe fell swift. A letter from the bank, crisp and cold as autumn wind. Foreclosure notice, payments overdue by months I'd ignored in the haze of her. And attached, a scrawled note from Hargrove, anonymous but unmistakable. Clean house or lose it all. We know what you're doing. Panic clawed my gut, hot and nauseous, as I crumpled it in the kitchen, the papers rasped like tearing flesh. Elena found me there, slumped at the table, head in hands. Clara! Her arms wrapped around me from behind, chin on my shoulder, her heartbeat syncing with mine's frantic drum. I spilled it all. The debts from Dad's medical bills, the failed rains, the town's venom now weaponized. She held me through the sobs that racked me silent, her shirt damp with my tears, murmuring nonsense in Spanish that soothed like rain on parched ground. We fight, she said when I quieted, pulling back to cup my face, thumbs wiping salt tracks. Together. Sell what we can, apply for that grant you mentioned, the one for women-owned farms. Her eyes burned fierce, the same fire that had drawn me in that first interview under the diner fluorescents. I nodded, clinging to her like lifeline, but doubt gnawed. Could love till this barren soil? That night we made plans by lantern light, her hand in mine across the scarred oak table, the flame dancing shadows on her determined face. But as sleep claimed us, entwined in my bed, thunder rumbled distant warning. The town meeting was a powder keg, held in the VFW hall with its faded flags and scent of stale coffee and regret. I'd gone alone, Elena insisted, her let me handle the fields, a thin veil over protectiveness. The air hummed with murmurs as I stood at the podium, notes trembling in my grip, the wooden edge biting into palms slick with nerves. This farm's been Jennings' land since 1892. I started, voice steady despite the flutter in my chest. It's fed families, held wakes, birthed dreams. I won't let it die because of whispers and ledgers. Murmurs swelled, Hargrove's sneer cutting sharp from the back row. Whispers about more than money, girl. Your arrangement ain't right. The room erupted, voices overlapping like storm surge. Bible quotes hurled like hay bales, slurs slithering under breaths. My vision blurred, heat rising, but then the door banged open, letting in a gust of night air and Elena, mud-spattered and unbowed, her presence sucking the oxygen from the fray. Enough, she said, not shouted, but it landed like hammer on anvil. She strode forward, taking my hand, lacing fingers bold in that sea of stairs. Clara's fought alone longer than most of you ever will. Through losses that it breaks stronger backs. And yeah, we're together. Loving fierce like this land demands. If that's sin, then so's turning away from kin in need. Silence crashed, thick and stunned. Then a slow clap from old widow Tate in the corner, her arthritic hands frail but sure. Girl's got spine. More in some here. Ripples spread, nods, averted eyes, a few grunts of assent. Hargrove stormed out, but the tide shifted just enough. We left arm in arm, the night air cool on flushed skin, stars pricking the ink-black sky like hopeful seeds. Winter crept in gentle that year, snow blanketing the fields in hush, but our grant came through. Federal push for sustainable AG, women-led initiatives. Elena's ideas poured out. Crop rotation with native prairie grasses, solar panels glinting like new promises on the barn roof. We work side by side, her teaching me salsa steps in the kitchen to thaw stiff joints, me showing her the secret bend in the creek where willows whispered secrets. Love deep in roots, tangled and true, her touch now mapped to my scars, my sighs her favorite song. Spring unfurled green and greedy, the farm reborn under our hands. One dawn as we stood on the porch, coffee steaming in mugs, watching seedlings push through soil like tiny rebellions, she turned to me, eyes soft as mist. You know I came for harvest help. Stayed for the soul tilling. I pulled her close, lips brushing hers in the light that's ours. And I? Never knew a seed could bloom this wild, this whole. The rooster crowed, world waking, but in that moment, we were the only harvest that mattered. Endless, entwined, eternally planted. The grant money burned a hole in my pocket like fool's gold, but Elena's vision turned it to fertile promise. We hired a crew, locals who'd softened after the meeting, their gruff apologies masked as just helpin' out, and dove into the overhaul. Morning started with her coffee ritual. Grinding beans coarse as field grit, the rich aroma curling through the house like an embrace, pulling me from dreams where her hands mapped constellations on my skin. Rise and shine, farmer girl, she teased, pressing a mug into my palms, her kiss lingering hot and quick before the day's grind. The solar installers came first, a team of wiry guys from Wichita, their ladders leaning like sentinels against the barn's red flank. I watched from the porch as Elena directed them, gesturing with that fluid authority, her laughter carrying on the breeze when one fumbled a panel, the clatter of tools, the sizzle of welding sparks. It all blended into a symphony of change, the air humming electric. But under it, tension simmered. Hargrove's truck rumbled past twice that week, slow and deliberate, his glare from the cab a silent vow. Ignore him, Elena said that night, her fingers kneading knots from my shoulders as we soaked in the clawfoot tub, water steaming scented with lavender from the co-op, bubbles clung to her collarbone, and I traced them with my eyes, hunger stirring low. He's just a weed. We'll pull him when the time's right. Pulling weeds that became our metaphor, whispered in the dark as her body arched under mine, gasps punctuating the creak of the bed frame. Our love was no gentle rain. It stormed fierce and consuming, her nails raking my back in crescendos of need, my name a prayer on her lips. Afterward, tangled in damp sheets, the window framing a moonpale field, she'd murmur stories of her youth. Sneaking across the Rio Grande as a teen with her cousin, the river's chill bite and the thrill of forbidden freedom. I learned early, love don't ask permission. It just floods. I'd hold her closer, inhaling the musk of us, wondering how I'd survived so long in drought. The prairie grasses arrived in flats, tough as boot leather, their roots promising to anchor against erosion. We planted them together, knees sunk in loamy earth, the sun warming our backs like a blessing. Her hands, dirt-streaked, brushed mine over a seedling, and we paused, foreheads touching, soil's mineral tang on our tongues from wiped brows. This'll hold, she said, voice thick with more than soil. Us, the land, everything. A breeze stirred, carrying the faint, green scent of unfurling life, and for a heartbeat, the world felt unbreakable. But cracks spiderwebbed quick. The first hailstorm hit unannounced, marble-sized stones pummeling the roof like gunfire, rattling windows until I thought they'd shatter. We huddled in the cellar, her arm around me, the air dank with potato bins and fierce sweat. Breathe, she coached, her palm flat on my racing heart, the steady thump of hers grounding me. Hail ticked relentless above, a Morse code of malice, and when it passed we emerged to devastation. Young shoots shredded, panels dented, the creek swollen muddy. We'll replant, she insisted, surveying the wreckage, jaw set. But her eyes, when they met mine, held a flicker of doubt, the first I'd seen. Town talk twisted sharper too. At the diner for pie, our ritual, her cherry, my apple. Forks paused midair as we slid into the booth. Conversations dipped, heads turning, then a snicker from the counter. Harvest help turned house pet, eh? It was Jimmy Tate, Hargrove's nephew, voice oily as fryer grease. Elena's fork clattered, her face paling under the tan, but I slid out, looming over him, the stool scraping loud. Watch your mouth, Jimmy, or I'll remind you how my dad bailed your sorry ass out of juvie back in '98. The diner held its breath, coffee steam curling tense, and he slunk off with a mutter. But as we drove home, windows down to whip away the sting, Elena stared out at passing fields silent. "It hurts," she admitted finally, voice small against the engine's growl. "Not for me. For you. Their judgment on what we built." I pulled over on a gravel shoulder, killing the ignition, the sudden quiet amplifying cricket's chirp. Turning to her, I cupped her cheek, thumb tracing the soft line of her jaw. "Their words are chaff. We thresh it out." She leaned in, our kiss starting tender, blooming urgent, hands roaming until the truck cab fogged, her sighs fogging the glass. We made love there, reckless and raw, the seat reclined under our weight, her body a landscape I knew by heart, curves yielding, heat enveloping. Release came shuddering, her cry muffled against my neck, and in the afterglow, with stars winking through the smear, she whispered, "You're my anchor, Clara. Don't let him uproot us." Summer swelled heavy, heat waves shimmering the air like mirage. The grasses took hold stubborn, a green fringe buffering the corn rows, and yields promised bumper, our first real win. Elena threw a barbecue, inviting the crew and a few brave neighbors, the backyard alive with smoke from the grill, ribs sizzling juicy, beer bottles clinking in ice buckets. Laughter rang freer than I'd heard in years, her strumming a borrowed guitar under string lights, voice husky on a Joan Baez tune that had Widow Tate swaying. I watched from the porch steps, beer warm in hand, heart full to bursting. This woman, this life, pieced from my ruins. But joy's a fragile crop. Midway through, Hargrove crashed the gate, uninvited, flask glinting as he weaved toward the fire pit. "Thought I'd see the freak show," he slurred, eyes bloodshot, fixed on Elena mid-chord. The music died, chatter stuttering, and I was up, blocking his path, the fire's heat licking my back. "Leave, Roy. Now." He laughed, bitter spray of spittle. "Or what? Your little spick dyke'll fight for you." The slur exploded, uglier than thunder, and Elena dropped the guitar, rising slow, face carved stone. "Say it again," she challenged, voice steel. The crew shifted uneasy, but no one moved until Jimmy, his nephew, grabbed his arm, muttering, "Enough, uncle." Hargrove shrugged free, staggering back, but the damage rooted. Guests filtered out awkward, excuses thin, leaving us with dying embers and the acrid bite of smoke. Elena knelt by the fire, poking at coals with a stick, sparks rising like accusations. "I bring this," she said, not looking up, the crackle underscoring her words. I sank beside her, pulling her into my side, the ground hard under us. "No. He does. The poison's his, not yours." She turned then, tears carving tracks through ash smudges, and I kissed them away, salt sharp on my lips. We made our way inside, shedding clothes like old skins, falling into bed where touch erased the night, slow, reverent, her whispers in my ear a litany of "I love you," drawn out until dawn's light-filtered pink. The confrontation brewed inevitable. A week later, as Thunderheads massed, Hargrove's lawyer sent papers. Boundary dispute claim, alleging encroachment on his water rights from our new irrigation. Lies blatant as the smirk on the envelope, but costly to fight. I paced the kitchen, boots thudding on linoleum worn thin, the coffee pot gurgling mocking. Elena watched from the table, maps spread, her pen tapping rhythmic worry. We document everything, photos, surveys. And we talk to folks. Not all are against us. Her optimism, usually sunlight, dimmed edged with steel. We drove to the county office that afternoon. The cab thick with unspoken storm. Radio static hissing warnings. The clerk, a mousy woman with kind eyes behind thick glasses, stamped our filings slow, her glance sympathetic. "Hang in there, Clara. Times change even here." Outside, rain spattered tentative, and Elena squeezed my hand, her smile breaking through. "See? Roots spreading." But as we headed home, wipers slapping steady, a pickup tailed too close, Hargrove's unmistakable. He gunned past at the straightaway, horn blaring long and mean, forcing us to the shoulder in a spray of mud. Heart hammering, I gripped the wheel white-knuckled, Elena's hand on my thigh steadying. "Bastard," she breathed, but then laughed, sharp and releasing. "He's scared. We got the wind now." We waited for the rain to ease, then continued, the cab filling with her humming, that same ranchero melody from harvest days, now laced with triumph. Home, we stripped wet clothes in the mudroom, towels rough on chilled skin, and tumbled laughing to the rug, the fire we'd lit earlier crackling welcome. Her body over mine, water droplets tracing paths I followed with lips and tongue, her moans rising with the storm's crescendo outside. We peaked together, breathless and bound, the world reduced to slick skin and shared pulse. Fall circled back, harvest time again, but this one felt like homecoming. The crew returned fuller, yields bursting, bins to overflowing. We celebrated quiet, just us on the porch, swing creaking lazy, her head in my lap, fingers idly twisting a lock of my hair. 1 year, she murmured, voice soft against the rustle of drying leaves. From add to this. I bent to kiss her, slow and deep, the taste of harvest wine lingering. From stranger to soul. But as stars wheeled overhead, a distant rumble, not thunder, signaled the final reap. The lawyer's office smelled of lemon polish and old paper, the kind that crinkles under fingers like dry leaves. We sat side by side on cracked vinyl chairs, Elena's knee pressed to mine under the desk, a silent morse of support. Mr. Ellis, Mrs. Ellis's husband, graying at the temples with a mustache like a broom bristle, flipped through folders, glasses perched low. Boundaries clear on your side, Clara. Hargroves claims smoke. But he'll drag it, make it hurt. His pen scratched notes, the sound grating like field mice in walls. Elena leaned forward, her voice even. What about witnesses? The co-op, the crew, they've seen our setup. He nodded, slow, tapping the pen. Build the case. Folks talk, but affidavits stick. We left with a stack of forms, the hallway echoing our steps, autumn light slanting gold through high windows. Outside, leaves skittered across the lot like fleeing secrets, and I exhaled sharp, the weightlifting fraction. We got this, Elena said, bumping my shoulder playful as we climbed into the truck. The door thunk solid, but her eyes, scanning the rearview for tails, held shadows. Back home, we rallied the crew over potluck in the barn. Folding tables groaning under casseroles and cornbread, lanterns swinging gentle overhead. The air hummed with easy chatter, forks clinking plates, the faint moo of cows in the distance a bass note. Elena moved among them, refilling drinks with that effortless charm, her laugh drawing smiles like bees to bloom. I watched, pride swelling chest tight, until Widow Tate pulled me aside by the punch bowl, her grip bony on my arm. That girl's gold, Clara. But watch your backs, Hargrove's poison runs deep. Her warning landed heavy, the ladle trembling in my hand as I nodded. Nights turned crisp, frost etching windows in lace patterns we traced with fingers before dawn. Love kept us warm, her body spooning mine under quilts heavy as harvest burdens, breath sinking in the quiet. One morning, as coffee perked bitter strong, she slid arms around my waist from behind, chin on shoulder humming low. Sign the forms today. I turned in her hold, mug forgotten, kissing her nose freckled from sun. Yeah, then yours if you stay. The words hung vulnerable as exposed root. She stilled, then smiled slow, eyes shimmering. Clara Jennings, I'm not going anywhere. This soil's in my veins now. We drove to town together that day, the cab filled with her playlist, Lucinda Williams crooning heartache over twangy guitar, windows cracked to let in the bite. The clerk's office was a hive of fluorescent buzz, stamps thumping like heartbeats. Elena's hand slipped into mine as we waited, thumb stroking soothing, but when the door opened to Hargrove himself, flanked by his shark of a lawyer, suits crisp against his rumpled overalls, air thick and choke. Fancy meetin', he drawled, eyes raking us dismissive. His lawyer smirked, briefcase snapping shut. See you in court, ladies. The taunt echoed as they brushed past, cologne cloying, but Elena squeezed harder, her whisper fierce in my ear. Let embark. We bite back. Outside, we leaned against the truck, breaths clouding, and laughed, nervous at first, then real, the sound chasing shadows. Lunch was drive-through burgers, greasy wrappers crinkling on the dash, her ketchup-smeared grin pulling me in for a stolen kiss at the stoplight, horns honking distant amusement. Court day dawned gray, skies sagging low like bad omens. The courthouse loomed brick-solid in the square, clock tower tolling hollow as we climbed steps, Elena's hand clammy in mine despite her straight spine. Inside, the hall smelled of varnish and anxiety, Benches hard under us as witnesses filed in. Crew members fidgeting with hats. Widow Tate clutching her purse like shield. Hargrove sat rows ahead, back rigid. His lawyer whispering oily. When the judge called order, gavel cracking sharp, my stomach knotted tight. Testimony dragged, voices echoing off paneled walls. The surveyor swearing our lines true, Jimmy Tate. Red-faced, avoiding his uncle's glare. Admitting the irrigation never touched their creek. Elena took the stand steady. Her words measured. Painting our work in strokes of sweat and innovation. This farm's not just land. Its legacy rebuilt hand in hand. The jury leaned in, pencils scratching, and I held breath, the room's hush pressing ears. Hargrove's turned soured air, his bluster about traditional ways. Voice rising gravel rough, laced with barbs at outsiders meddlin', but cracks showed. His yield slumping from poor practice, debts mirroring mine. His lawyer pushed sly. And your personal involvement, Ms. Vargas? Does that cloud judgment? Elena met his gaze unflinching, the gallery stirring. Love don't cloud. It clears. Shows what's worth fighting for. Murmurs rippled approval, and the judge banged quiet, but the seed was sown. Recess brought coffee bitter as bile from a vending machine. Elena and I huddled in the hall, her forehead to mine. You're brave as hell, I whispered, tasting her chapstick mint sharp. She grinned wry, tucking hair behind my ear. Us, remember? Team. Back in, closing arguments flew. His venomous, ours rooted firm. And when the jury filed out, time stretched elastic, the clocks tick mocking. Verdict came swift. Dismissed with costs to Hargrove. The gavel fell final, relief crashing wave-like. Tears pricking hot as Elena pulled me up, hugging fierce amid claps and backslaps. Outside, rain held off, sun breaking timid through clouds, and we walked arm in arm, the square's fountain splashing joyful. We won, she breathed, spinning me under a lamppost, her laugh bubbling free. I kissed her there, public and unashamed, the world blurring to her taste, victory sweet. Home celebration waited. The crew again, barn lights strung festive, tables laden with tamales, Elena steamed tender, masa fluffy, salsa zing on tongue. Music pulsed, guitar and fiddle weaving Tex-Mex twang. And we danced, her hips swaying against mine, sweat beading brows in the warmth. Laughter drowned old ghosts, toasts raised to new roots. Glasses clinking crystal clear. Later, as guests thinned, we slipped away to the loft, hayloft sweet with memory. Her body yielding under starlight slanting through slats. Touches lingered slow, exploratory, her sighs like wind through grass, building to gasps that echoed our triumph. Climax shuddered shared, her name my anchor in the swell. Winter whispered in early, first snow dusting fields like powdered sugar, muffling the world soft. We hunkered, grant funds flowing to greenhouses, glass houses rising like dreams, frames clanging under welders' torches. Elena sketched plans by firelight, pencil whispering paper, her excitement contagious. Heirloom tomatoes, herbs for market, fresh, local. I'd nod, mesmerized by her fire, pulling her to the rug for distractions heated. The blaze crackling accompaniment to our rhythm, skin glowing ember orange. But peace fractured subtle. Letters came, offers to buy, from core sniffing profit in our model, numbers dizzying. Sell. Elena asked one night, soup steaming between us, carrots crunch sweet. I stirred mine slow, spoon clinking bowl. Never. This is us. She smiled, but worry creased her brow, faint as frost. Town thawed, gradual, invitations trickling. Potlucks, for H meetings where nods replaced stares. Mrs. Ellis waved at the store, basket brimming, her proud of you girls warming like cider. Yet Hargrove lurked, truck idling at edges, a specter. One eve, as snow fell thick, blanketing quiet, Elena vanished to the barn midsupper, her chair empty, stew cooling. Heart lurching, I grabbed coat, boots crunching crust to find her silhouetted in doorway, staring fields white and vast. Can't sleep? I asked, slipping arms around waist, chin on shoulder, her hair cold-tipped. She leaned back, sidelong. Dreamt of leaving. Old habit. Ice gripped gut, but I turned her, gentle eyes locking. Then dream new. Stay. Build. Tears glistened her lashes and she nodded, kissing fierce snowflakes melting on cheeks. We made love by the sleigh, blankets piled, her warmth chasing chill, moaned steaming breath clouds, union sealing vows unspoken. Spring stirred restless, green shoots piercing snowmelt, mud-sucking boots. Greenhouses bloomed riot, vines twisting lush, air humid with earth and bloom. Market day dawned bright, truck bed heaped crates, Elena's signs hand-painted bold, Jennings Vargas Farm, fresh from Heartland hands. The square bustled, stalls colorful, chatter lively under awnings. We sold brisk, folks fingering tomatoes ruby ripe, inhaling basil's punch, praise flowing easy. These are magic, one said, and Elena beamed, elbow nudging mine conspiratorial. But midway shadow fell, Hargrove at our booth, hands in pockets feigning brows. Fancy setup, he grunted, picking a pepper, twisting stem slow. Tension coiled airtight, customers edging away. Buyer browse elsewhere, I said, voice level, crate heavy in arms. He dropped it, stem snapping, juice staining fingers. Just seeing how far the joke goes. Elena stepped up, chin high. Farther than your hate reaches. He chuckled dark, sauntering off, but the pepper's snap lingered, a warning. That night, storm broke violent, lightning fracturing sky, thunder shaking rafters. We lay wakeful, her hand tracing my ribs, pulse quick under skin. He's done, she murmured, but sleep evaded, wind wailing banshee. The pepper incident rippled undercurrents, whispers at market turning to outright avoidance for some. But our booth held steady, loyal faces returning weekly with tales of best eats in county. Elena threw herself into expansion, sketching trellises for beans, her notebook filling frantic, pencil lead snapping under pressure. We diversify, she'd say over breakfast, toast crunching, jam sticky sweet. Squash berries make it sing. I'd watch her, coffee black and hot, admiring the fire that rebuilt my world brick by hopeful brick. Nights we escaped to the creek, blankets spread on mossy banks, fire pit crackling low, stars pricking velvet overhead. Marshmallows toasting golden, her stick handing one over, gooey on tongue, followed by her kiss, smoky lingering. Remember our first storm? She asked, head on my thigh, fingers toying with belt loops. I hummed yes, hand in her hair, silk over callus. Felt like fate then. Feels like home now. Laughter soft. Then silence comfortable, only crickets and distant owl hoot. Love-making followed natural, clothes shed layer by layer, grass cool under back. Her weight welcome, rhythms syncing with night sounds, slow builds to shared release, sighs folding into breeze. But Hargrove's shadow lengthened. A slashed tire on the truck one dawn, rubber hissing flat as I kicked gravel, curse sharp on lips. Elena knelt inspecting, flashlight beam dancing, her son of a trailing steam breath. Sheriff came, notebook flipping, mustache twitching, skeptical. Prank likely, he drawled, but eyes lingered doubtful on us. Keep doors locked, ladies. We nodded, but as his cruiser tailed away, Elena's jaw clenched, fists balled. No more ignoring. Inside, over tea steaming chamomile calm, she paced, floorboards groaning. Confront him. End this. Dusk found us at his gate, truck idling rough, the engine's rumble mirroring gut churn. His ranch sprawled rundown, fences sagging wire, house paint peeling like old skin. He emerged porch slow, shotgun loose in crook arm, not aimed but threat clear. Jennings. And the help. Voice gravel over ice. Elena slid out first, boots hitting dirt firm. Call off your dogs, Roy. Or we'll press charges, trespass, vandalism. He laughed, bark dry, leaning rail. Prove it. Town knows your kind stirs trouble. The slur hung, venom slow drip, and I was out, flanking her, arm brushing solidarity. Our kind feeds this county. Yours poisons it. Eyes narrowed slits, he shifted gun casual, but Jimmy appeared then, door banging, face flushed. Uncle inside. Now. Tug insistent, and Hargrove relented grudging, retreating with a final glare over shoulder. We drove home silent, adrenaline buzzing veins, her hand finding mine at the wheel, squeezed tight. That the end? I asked, stars blurring through tears unspilled. She shook head. Step 1. Sleep came fitful, dreams tangled of guns and gates, waking sweat damp to her murmur. arms pulling close. We're tougher, she whispered, lips on collarbone trailing fire down. Morning light found us sated. Sheets twisted testament, her smile chasing ghosts. Crew meeting next, barn echoing boots on concrete, coffee urn burbling. Faces earnest, Jimmy included, hat twisting hands, as Elena laid it out plain. Evidence needed, eyes open. We're family here, she said, voice ringing clear. Nods rippled, a chorus of got your backs. And as they filed out, Widow Tate lingered, pressing a pie tin warm. For strength, dears. The crust flaked buttery, filling tart apple, and we shared slices on the tailgate, juice dripping chins, laughter easing knots. Market swelled busier, our stall a hub. Folks queuing for greens crisp. Elena's banter drawing crowds, her try this salsa. Kicks like mules sparking grins. One afternoon as sun dipped lazy, a woman approached hesitant, silver hair bobbed, eyes familiar. Hargrove's sister long estranged. Heard the fuss, she said, voice soft smoke. Roy's bitter since the wife left. Takes it out wrong. She bought a bundle, basil bunch green, and added quiet. Tell him family's thicker than grudge. We nodded stunned, watching her melt into crowd. Word spread wildfire. Jimmy stopped by unannounced, truck pulling dust, apology stumbling out porch side. Uncle's wrong. I told him, cut the crap or I'm out. His hand extended rough, shake firm, and as he drove off, Elena hugged me sudden whoop joyful. See? Ground shifting. Yet doubt nipped heels. A bank call midweek, voice polished concern. Offer still open, Ms. Jennings. Smart to consider. Click dead, leaving echo hollow. Elena found me at the kitchen window, staring fields goldening, her arms circling waist. We don't sell souls for security. Kiss on neck warm, but I turned, holding her at arms. What if it breaks us? The fight, the farm. Voice cracked raw. She cupped face gentle, thumbs stroking. Then we replant. Together. That night storm cells brewed south, sky bruising purple, air electricozone sharp. We walked the rows, flashlights bobbing, checking stakes, her hand swinging mine casual. Thunder grumbled distant, and she stopped sudden, pulling me close, rain spitting tentative. Marry me, Clara. Words tumbled breathless, her eyes stormlit. Heart stuttered, joy flooding sudden. Yes, I gasped. Kissing fierce as downpour unleashed, water sheeting cold, clothes clinging transparent. We ran laughing to the house, dripping trails, stripping in hall, bodies slick sliding to bed. Love urgent, slippery, her cries mingling rain's roar. Peaks crashing wave on wave until exhaustion claimed, entwined wet and warm. Wedding planning snuck and sly amid tilling and trellising. Rings simple gold bands scratched with harvest dates. Vows handwritten on seed packets, promises rooted. Town buzz tentative, invitations met mixed. Some RSVPs warm, others silent stony. But Widow Tate baked cake layers towering, vanilla sponge tender. And the crew pledged a arch of cornstalks dried and golden. Ceremony day dawn clear, October crisp, leaves flaming red-orange. The barn transformed. Aisle hay-strewn, lanterns twinkling early, air scented hay and cider mulling. Guests filtered in more than feared. Ellis duo beaming front row, Jimmy fidgeting tie, even Hargrove's sister dabbing eyes. Elena waited at altar, dressed simple white lace over jeans, boots scuffed proud, her smile sun through clouds. I walked arm in Tate's heart-hammering drum, vows exchanged trembling. In soil and storm I choose you. Ring slid cool, kiss sealing salt sweet, cheers erupting wild. Reception spilled joyous, fiddles sawing reels, boots stomping dirt floor. Elena twirling me breathless, her laughter infectious. Toast slurred heartfelt, Jimmy's to roots running deeper. Glasses clinking chime. As night deepened, stars wheeling, we slipped away to the loft, ladder creaking under weight. Her hands unlacing dress slow, reverent. Moonlight silvered skin, touches worshipful. Her body arching familiar yet new wife now. Gasps building to symphony, release shattering quiet. Names whispered sacred. Honeymoon was the farm itself. Days lazy in greenhouses, vines tangling like us. Nights firelit with stories swapped, her head on chest, heartbeat lullaby. But idle cracks subtle, a letter, official seal glaring. Hargrove's appeal digging deeper. Appeal news landed like frost on bloom. killing warmth overnight. We poured over at kitchen table, tea gone cold, steam long fled. He's desperate, Elena said, folding paper crisp, her voice edged blade. Losing ground, literal. I nodded but gut twisted sour, wedding glow dimmed. Confetti of rice still gritty underfoot from the toss. Second round. We gear up. Her hand covered mine, steady, but eyes held flicker fear, brief as shadow. Crew reconvened urgent. Barn meeting under bare bulbs buzzing harsh. Maps unrolled vast, markers circling claims bogus. We double witnesses, Jimmy urged, sleeves rolled, forearms veined work. I got logs. His water use tripled last drought. Nods circled firm, and as they dispersed, purpose thickened air like harvest dust. Elena lingered, stacking chairs scrape echo. Her we're unbreakable more mantra than fact. Days blurred grind. Affidavits notarized ink fresh. Photos snapped dawn rosy proving lines true. Market faltered anxious, sales dipping as whispers of lawsuit drag deterred browsers. Crates returning half full, greens wilting sad. One stall side irregular, old farmer with pipe clenched, clapped my shoulder gnarled. Hang tough, girl. Law's blind but truth sees. His tobacco whiff lingered comfort as he bought all the kale, armload green. Night's solace in skin, her fingers mapping scars faded, lips following trails fire. Remember our creek promise? She'd murmur, straddling hips slow, eyes locking deep. I'd arch into her, hands gripping thighs firm. Rhythm building tidal, moans weaving with wind sigh outside. Release came shuddering, her collapse warm weight, breaths mingling ragged. Always, I'd whisper, holding through after tremors, world reduced safe. Bank calls persisted, sly voices honeyed temptation. Corporate interests peaking, Mrs. Jennings Vargas. Legacy preserved, burdens lifted. Click left ringing ears, and Elena, overhearing once, slammed receiver cradle hard. They prey on fear. Her pacing filled room restless, floor groaning protest. I pulled her down, couch soft, legs tangling. We stand. Kiss deepened anchor, hands wandering reclaiming. Couch springs protesting soft as we lost hours there. Her cries muffled pillow, peaks chasing doubt away. Winter gripped tighter, snow piling drifts high, plows rumbling distant. Greenhouses steamed vital, condensation beating glass like sweat. Inside jungle thick with herbs thriving defiant. We harvested basil pungent, scissors snipping sharp, air festive green. Sauce night, Elena declared, bundles tied twine, her grin mischief. Kitchen transformed alchemy. Pots bubbling garlic sweet, tomatoes simmering chunk, her stirring wooden spoon callus worn. We danced around steam, hips bumping teas, wine loosening tongues to sing-along radio croons. But isolation crept, town visits sparse, deliveries stacked, porch unclaimed. A package arrived unmarked, inside vandalized photo of our wedding, faces scratched crude. Note scrawled, unnatural union ends bad. Stomach lurched bile, paper crumpling fist tight. Elena snatched it, face paling ash. Then tore strips furious, confetti of hate. Fuel, she spat. Crumpling into fire grate, flames devouring quick. We burned sage after, smoke curling acrid, her chant Spanish soft warding. Bed that night, holds turned fierce, her nails marking possession. Gasps bordering pain pleasure, union exorcism. Sheriff returned formal, cruiser crunching snow, badge glinting cold. Heard about the pick. Prince. We shook heads, but he lingered, coffee mug warm. Hargrove slippin'. Lost lease on East 40. Bank foreclosing him ironic. His chuckle wry, leaving us staring, fields white. Irony bitter as unsweetened tea. Appeal hearing loomed February fierce, winds howling banshee off plains. We prepped relentless mock arguments over dinner. Forks pausing mid-bite as she played devil voice mimic oily. Objection relevance? I'd counter, laughing despite stakes, her foot hooking ankle playful under table. Rehearsals bled to intimacy, table cleared abrupt, her pushing me back chair tilt. Lips claiming hungry, hands deft unbuttoning. Floor rug rough under shoulders, her descent worship. Tongue tracing heat until cry broke free, release blinding. Travel to county seat dragged. Roads glazed slick, wipers slapping rhythmic dread. Courthouse same stern. Hall's echoing heels click. Gallery fuller hostile. Hargrove's kin glaring rose but our side swelled. Tate frail but fierce, crew back straight, Jimmy testifying lead off, voice steady recounting sabotage. Family don't mean blind loyalty, he said, eyes front, uncle's flinch visible. Elena's stand again shone, poise unyielding, detailing innovations data-backed, yields graphs projected wall glow. This fights for future, not grudge. Jurors nodded subtle, pencils dance. My testimony followed, voice cracking initial on debts weathered. Love strength unspoken but felt. Her hand brush under bench electric. Hargrove ranted wilder, spittle flecking lips. Claims crumbling cross-exam. Lawyer sweat beaded brow. Recess stretched eternal. Hallway vending hum mocking. Her vending chocolate shared. Wrapper crinkle nerves. Whatever comes, she vowed, chocolate bitter melt on tongue from her fingers. Verdict swift again, dismissed fuller, sanctions hinted Hargrove's way. Gavel crack sealed, relief title, hugs crushing from allies, tears salt sting as we exited Armlink, snow swirling celebratory. Homecoming feast crew spontaneous, barn raucous fiddle and flask, snow melting boots puddle. Toast sloshed to unbreakable. Elena hoisting mug foam lip, her whoop pulling me dance spins dizzy joy. Later loft retreat, hay prickling welcome, her unstrapping overalls slow moonlight gilding curves. Touches lingered gratitude, her mouth exploring reverent, builds languid to crescendo, names gasped litany, collapse sated star gaze. Spring burst vengeant, floods lapping fences high, but our berms held grasses anchoring mud. Crops surged verdant, market reborn frenzy, stalls mobbed miracle greens chant. Elena's salsa jars flew shelf, labels curly her script. One buyer, young couple beaming. Inspires us, starting small plot. Pride swelled chest ache, her wink across crate conspirator. Yet Hargrove's fall accelerated. Foreclosure auction announced Gazette Stark. His land parceled strangers. Jimmy visited awkward porch rockers creak coffee black. He's leavin'. Asked me pass sorry, too proud say himself. We nodded quiet Elena's time heels soft. As he left, truck fade dust, weight lifted feather light. Summer hummed harmony, greenhouses expanded, vines heavy fruit. We hired seasonal kids eager learning rose stoop. Elena taught salsa dusk, hips sway under firefly blink, laughter cascade. Love evolved deeper, mornings wake to her sketch beside. Portraits us tender pencil smudge cheek. One eve, creekside picnic, blanket checkered, wine glass stemgrass, her toasting to souls planted. Kiss deep in wine tang, hands wandering lazy, clothes discarded breeze kiss, bodies join earthwarm, rhythms wave creek murmur, peaks echo frog chorus. Fall harvest crown triumph, bins overflow gold, yields record. Celebration bonfire vast, crew and town mingle free, fiddles weave night, Elena's arm waist secure. Her whisper ours forever breathier hot. Harvest moon hung bloated orange, casting fields silvered glow as we tallied bins. Numbers blurring ink under lantern flicker. Enough for expansion, Elena breathed, ledger close, her excitement palpable air thick. I pulled her up from crate perch, dust motes dancing, kissing forehead sweat damp. And rest. God the rest. Her laugh bubbled low, hands framing face, thumbs jaw stroke. Leadway wife. House welcomed quiet, fire crackling hearth glow, stew reheated simmer spice. We ate cross-legged rug, bowls steam veil, spoons clink soft converse dreams. Farm stand permanent, workshop sustainable, maybe kids adopted wide-eyed wonder fields. Her eyes lit vision, fork paws midair. Legacy Clara. Ours. Bed called magnetic, sheets cool invitation. Her undressed silhouette fire backlit, curved shadow play. Touches map known terrain, fingers trace spine shiver, lips nipple peak tease until gasp arch. She descended deliberate, tongue swirl heat build. My hands tangle hair silk pull. Release crest wave crash, cry room fill echo. Winter wrap gentle this cycle, snow feather fall, greenhouses haven humid. We experimented hybrid, tomatoes cherry burst. Elena's hybrid salsa jar label proud. Market off-season deliveries door drop. Tips generous holiday cheer scrawl. Town embrace fuller. Diner pie slices free pioneers. Mrs. Ellis Hugbone crush. Anniversary crepe January hush. 1 year wed. Rings glint fire polish. She planned surprise. Cabin rent Ozark's edge woods pine scent sharp lake mirror still. Drive wound hills curve radio soft ballad. Her hand thigh rest warm. Cabin log warm fireplace roar. Supper trout grill char. Wine red velvet. After bearskin rug plush her body oil slick massage turn lovemaking. Slow grind friction. Moans low thunder distant. Peaks sync heartbeat. Return thawed resolve plans unfurl. Community co-op pitch our model core. Meeting hall pack shoulder. Voices overlap eager. Elena's presentation slide project bold. Yields graph climb. Together thrive. Applause thunder hands shake firm Jimmy front count me in. Spring rain patter promise seeds press soil break. Green nubs fist bump. We walked rose dawn dew boots squelch her arm loop waist casual. Feel it? Pulse. Hand press earth cool yes life thrum. Love quicken too her pregnancy talk turn serious. Agency papers pour late night. Her mother you finger trace belly dream. Summer scorched gold berries stain fingers purple. Elena's pies lattice crust flaky. Oven warm kitchen fill. Market peak stall rainbow produce. Kids finger samples giggle. One boy gap tooth. You ladies heroes. Heart clench sweet her wink nah just farmers. Storm season brewed wild. Cells spawn twister touch. Sirens wail urgent. We sheltered cellar close her stories distract. Childhood thunder hide. Abuelita's tales ghost. Storm pass rumble fade emerge dawn crisp damage spot. Fence splinter roof patch. Crew swarm repair hammering. Bonds forge tighter. Fall wreathed color drunk. Leaves carpet crunch. Harvest symphony machine hum. Basket heft. Bonfire tradition grew town full circle. Fiddles call response. Elena dance barefoot circle. Skirt swirl. Pull me join spin dizzy. Hargrove sighting rare town edge truckload. Wave tentative once. Ignored but seed. One night stars carpet vast porch swing sway her head lap rest fingers comb curl. From higher to here, she mused voice dusk soft. Soul planted deep. I bent kiss crown inhale wildflower. Deeper every dawn. Sigh shared world pause breath hold. Years blurred harvest cycle farm bloom legacy. Co-op thrive workshops teach hand soil. Kids arrive foster tentative turn permanent. Their laughter field echo. Elena's book publish local press. Roots reclaimed. Love on the line. Pages turn home shelf proud. I read aloud Eve fire her critique tease. Love Nestle closer. Old age crept graceful lines etch laugh deep. Hands gnarl joint ache but clasp sure. Rockers porch sink creak. Grandkids chase firefly jar glow. Elena's story weaves spellbind. And that's how Grandma Elena planted in Nana Clara's soul. Eyes meet across circle wink spark undimmed. Final harvest fields gold wash sunset. We stand edge, arms link wind whisper leaf rustle. Full circle, she says voice gravel honey. I gnaw at throat tight. Kiss temple wrinkle soft. Full heart. Moonrise slow witness eternal. Roots run deep, souls entwined. Planted forever in this Kansas dirt, wild and whole.